Hey there, G3XE here, and today I'm going to continue the Malam's Maze video quest series that I've been working on while I work on a beholder model. Now, before I start, quick note, because I'm just going to be doing this in the background, you can actually make pretty okay miniatures, especially if you don't want to spend money on, like, regular miniatures, from paper, like a stiff paper, like index cards, what I'm using, and just straight up white glue. For instance, here's a little man, right? So I mean, they're not perfect, obviously, but they are able to, work. Here's a painted wizard one, right? Okay, so this is the kind of quality you might get, but they're really, 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 really cheap, and they're kind of fun. Certain things, though, you can do, I think, a pretty good job with the glue and index card method, and that would include beholders. So beholder, obviously, classic Dungeons & Dragons monster. Right now I'm gluing tentacles, or, eye stalks to him. And so this is a bouncy ball that I covered kind of like with paper mache, but it's not with water, it's just with regular glue. You're going to have to get your hands a little dirty, but... And then I kind of just made a little thing for his eye, and gave him a mouth. This stand is, the plastic one is extra bit from a Warhammer thing, and the base is also a Warhammer thing. Glued that in with plastic glue, and then just drilled a small little hole so then I can place him on there, and then boom, we have this awesome giant beholder model. I think when I paint him up, he's going to look really cool and intimidating. So that's what I'm going to be working on, and just kind of gluing eye stalks as I talk about this. Also, and I might describe what I'm doing. So this is going to be an eye stalk. It's just a 3x5 index card, ripped a little bit, into little strips. Get some white glue, a line of glue halfway up on one side, and halfway up on the other side. And then this glue's running out, so I'm keeping it upright so that it all goes toward the top. All I'm doing is folding it and then twisting it. And you're going to get the glue to, you're going to smear it kind of all over as you twist. So anyway, this one is going to be describing Crumblemaw Mine in the Malam's Maze quest. Now, as you'll recall, Crumblemaw is a abandoned mine used by Malam 100 years ago to help build his giant keep, but now is left, alone. So who knows what lies within there. However, you do know that because of his paranoia and everything, or the adventurers, if they're going to the mine, should know that there is an underground passage that leads to the lowest level of the dungeon beneath Malam's castle. That he built for like a little escape route, right? To get out very secretly. So, if they choose to go in this way, they might delve into Crumblemaw Mine. And Crumblemaw Mine is divided into 3 sections. You can make the floor plans as you see fit. I did some for mine, and they were okay. My players got a little stymied at one of them, and I had to kind of make up a scenario on the fly to help them, because I'll get to it. So I'll first do an overview. The first level of the Crumblemaw Mine has skeletons. These skeletons have a mysterious green magic-y glow around them, and they seem to be still have kind of flesh on them, but like rotting flesh. So they're not a zombie, but they're not a skeleton either. There's something weirdly in between. And they, you might ask, why are they there? Well, there's a sign at the front of Crumblemaw that says, "Do not enter, warning, danger," or whatever. And obviously adventurers are going to disregard that. But this mine is actually being inhabited by an alchemist. And this alchemist uses, he's going into research on how to make potions that turn the dead back to life, but not through resurrection, right? So essentially zombification, but in a potion, and one that can work, by anyone who's not a wizard or necromancer or anything. So kind of a dark practice, which is why he's out here on his own. And on the second level of the mine is a basilisk surrounded by the what appear to be statues of scared adventurers and miners. And of course, this is because basilisks turn whatever they see to stone, and then can eat it, and then they have a special substance in their stomach that turns the stone back into flesh. Alchemists can actually use this and make they can make a antidote, for the for being turned to stone, for being petrified. Now this basilisk is here because the alchemist puts him there and keeps him so he can get that the residue from like his drool and stuff, that chemical, and use in his experiments to make these zombies. So that is, or these zombie skeletons. That is what that weird greenness is. So he has kind of a layer. It's almost like a pit that he keeps his basilisk in on the second floor. On the first floor, he guards his little setup with skeletons that he's reanimated with this potion he's making. And then on the lowest floor, is his lab, right? So it becomes more like lit up, and there's signs that someone lives there. And then he has an office with tons of experiment, tubes and vials and potions and all stuff of that sort. And he's kind of gone mad in his isolation. And if the adventurers go in and kill all the skeletons, he will for sure want to kill them and be really angry with them. And if they kill his basilisk, he will be even more furious. Now, of course, the adventurers won't know that they're doing that at the time, but the alchemist doesn't care. Now, my anecdote. Well, they got stuck at the first one because I had a point where, there was like this, what I called a nexus, which I intended to be kind of like a vat of all that chemical that used to recreate the skeletons. And so it is like a mist that goes in the air, and I was putting that it would reanimate these skeletons after they were killed. And then I was kind of hoping that the adventurers would see that they were reanimating and see like, oh, we got to go, like either get out of here or head further and lock the door, because there was a door, because the alchemist lives here. But I don't know, maybe I didn't describe it right or whatever, but they just kept kind of killing the skeletons. The skeletons would come back, they kept killing the skeletons, and then like few of them dropped, right? So they're making death saves, and I'm like, okay, yeah, and then the skeletons, break, or the mist runs out or whatever. So I guess that makes sense, but I probably could have designed that better. So however you want to design it, the only really key things is that it has 3 levels. The skeletons, which have very limited loot, but there are some mining supplies nearby. The basilisk's lair, which I would generate like 5 or so NPCs who have been turned to stone. And if they look around in the alchemist lab, they can find antidotes for petrification. And especially if one of the party becomes petrified, they can use it. But also if someone's clever enough, they can go back and go unpetrify those people. And those characters could be from back in Malam's day, that they were petrified, right? So this alchemist is really old, so there's no reason why these petrified people haven't been turned to stone for like 50, 60 years. So they might have really useful information. And we'll also be very grateful to the adventurers. And if they have treasure in their pocket that's also stone, it will also get turned. So that is Crumblemaw Mine. And the alchemist, of course, out of his lair lies the secret passage that goes to the the lowest floor of the dungeon below Malam's castle. Now, one of the boss monsters I put in there is a tunnel worm, which is a custom monster. I give it the abilities like Tremor Sense and the jump and smash ability of the purple worm, but obviously purple worms are like a crazy tough enemy. So with the health and other stats of a carrion crawler, if the carrion crawler rolled max on its not carrion crawler, I forget. Adjust it for whatever your party's level is, but that lies within the tunnel that goes underneath. So while they're traveling through this tunnel and they keep noticing holes in the walls, that's the tunnel worm who's been living down here. And so they could just run all the way under the passage and just completely escape and then get into the dungeon, close the door behind them, or they could fight it. It's up to them. Because this tunnel worm just kind of eats random stuff, and if it gets hurt enough, it might just run away. It's a wild animal, doesn't really think or anything. So that is Crumblemaw Mine, and as a button to this episode, I will say, if you are interested in how to make glue and index card miniatures, let me know, and I can do a video on that. Although, if you go into my channel lists, and you look for inspiration, it's where I put videos that really inspire me, obviously. There is a video detailing how to do it that was made a few years ago that taught me, although I do think that the video quality could be updated, and so if you want further instruction, let me know. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.